Hello, hello, my friends. Here we are, kicking off day 2 of the Firestarter Challenge. And let's see who we got popping in here today. So, Firestarter Challenge is a 5-day journey to spark greater energy, passion, freedom, and fun. Good morning, Miss Jacqueline. You're the only one popping in quite yet, so we may be having some other people joining us, but yeah, how
Okay.
are you today?
I'm good. I was working on the day 1 thing, and it was interesting how I'm not in the middle. I'm like either low or high, and I knew this discipline, structure, all that. I need to go back to writing my list because that's when I accomplish a lot. And when I don't have it, I'm like a chicken with a head cut off. I'm like, well, what I'm doing today, in between watching babies. So that
Yeah,
was
we can kind of, if we don't have the list or keep that intention in front of us, we're running by default. It's just like we're reacting to the things that are coming up versus being in the driver's seat and doing it by design.
well, that's my
So
whole life. Just going with the flow,
take a number, lady.
Is it? I'm not the
Yeah,
only one.
true. And I think, that's really what so much of this journey is about, is for us to get intentional about what it is that we want to experience our life to be. So,
Well,
yeah,
I appreciate you doing this. And I
yeah,
swear I will connect with you.
we
I
we
will.
shall.
Yeah. Is anybody else
Yeah,
showing?
they'll be popping in here. So I just wanted to start by doing a quick review. And like you were saying, the review that we had from yesterday, actually, would you just mute yourself for just a second so I can pop back on to being the primary? Otherwise, everybody's going to be looking at you the whole time. So yeah, so I'll do a quick intro. I'm Kathy Basel. I'm a transformational life coach and energy healer. So yesterday we talked all about energy and how we can work with our energy to have more of it. So energy isn't something we necessarily have, but there's all these different ways that we can spark energy in our lives again. So I'm going to share the I'm going to review real quick the conversations that we had yesterday about how we create energy. So start it from the beginning. And this is, again, one of my favorite questions of all time. Mary Oliver, tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And if this isn't at the core of passion, I love this because it just invokes that we're only here one time around, and hopefully we've learned lots of lessons from COVID that other people are checking out a lot of times without without warning. So what if this was your last life, your last cycle around the earth? What would you choose to do with your one wild and precious life? It's like Jacqueline was saying, of getting clear. What are your priorities for you before the world starts dictating its agenda to you? What would you choose to do? So yesterday we started by kind of grounding in this beautiful picture, this woman who's both grounded in the earth, grounded in herself, pulling that energy up and recognizing that we're interconnected with all the energy, all these other people in our sphere, if you will. And then the target being an energized tranquility, because we both want to be calm and grounded, and at the same time we want to be energized, have that energy that we can pull up and pull upon. So then we talked real quick about we are spiritual beings. We know this and we forget this, right? Again, it's a lot of this stuff. I'm not teaching you anything new. What I'm doing is reminding you of the truth that we need to keep in front of us so that we can both be present and energized at the same time. So we're spiritual beings having a human moment. This little fellow here, I think Sue Morter calls him the energy man, but this is really just a pictorial of, we tend to over identify with this physical aspect of ourselves, like the purple part. We get hyper focused on the physical aspects of ourselves, but through this week we're going to be talking the mental, emotional, and today we're talking about the spiritual. So the green is kind of the spiritual energy that happens. And what over time, life happens and we've got the crash and burns, the challenges like the dog barking in the middle of your presentation that can give you different meanings. So you've had the mental and emotional traumas, big and small, that have dented the ability of energy to flow in and out of your life in a smooth and fluid way. So we all want that flow. Passion, we're going to be talking about stoking from the outside today, talking about passion. So, so this quote, oh, there's a squirrel outside. So your task is not to seek for love, but merely seek and find the barriers within yourself that you've built against it. So he's talking about love, but what if we could use the same exact quote and do it in terms of passion? So your task is not to seek for your passion, but to seek and find the barriers within yourself that you've built against it. So how are you actually stopping yourself from feeling that passion that you desire in your life? And then here we shared, this is my vitality wheel that I created. This is the physical aspects. A lot of times when we're thinking about creating energy, we're looking at these aspects here, but we're going to be come from the soul level today. So we're going to be talking about passion, and the way we stoke that up is through presence. And Jacqueline, as you were saying, you kind of went through the exercise. There's the vitality assessment that was in the first day's handouts. As you go through and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on these things, the most important thing is to do so with curiosity and not judgment. Judgment is when we start to, that inner critic gets carried away and starts saying, well, you knew this, you should do that. You're not doing more of that kind of a thing. If we do it with judgment, it's going to keep us stuck in that lower grade, if you will. What we want to recognize is life is continually flowing. And at any given time, it's kind of like playing around a golf. I don't know if you're golfers, but there's never a day when every single club is working. Your putter's on one day, your driver's on the next day, and you can't make a putt to save your life. Just recognize that's part of the human condition and enjoy that, and just be humored by that, if nothing else. And then we kind of grounded into these words. This is in your handout from Playbook 1. What are those energy essences is what I called them, but we get to set that course. So Jacqueline, since you're back, are there some words that kind of popped up for you?
Oh yeah, all of them. Well,
we'll take all of them, but really just reading through this list is enough to kind of spark your curiosity, like abundance, adventurous, affluent, anticipatory, artistic, appreciated, athletic, authentic, aware, beautiful, bodacious. I mean, just go all through this list, read this list, and this little image down here, the star, is for us to bring that present. What is it that you choose to experience this day, this week, this month? Who is the you that you want to step into? Because energetically, we're going to begin attracting back the equivalent of the energy that we're putting out. So let's pick some fun ones for today. So for passion, how about, for me, I think connected, creativity, bold, beautiful, vibrant. How about some of those kinds of words for setting our intention for today? And so by doing that, I'm going to come back to this picture, because I just want to first ground us. The breath work is in a beautiful way for us to be able to come into the present moment and recognize that all of our power lies within this present moment. So just close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine this picture, taking a breath, grounding into the earth, smiling at your body, giving thanks that we're here, feeling that gratitude for another day here, another day to breathe, another day to create, another day to connect, another day to express, another day just to be and explore who you came here to be. Imagine now reaching out to the others in this group, anyone listening to the replay, anyone here in the past, in the future. Give them a smile, give them a nod, give them a hug, With the next breath, receiving that smile, that nod, that hug. Setting our intention for today to reignite with that spark of passion that's within. We know it's there. We're going to just put some fuel on it today and allow it to burn deeper and brighter. Taking one more breath. Coming back. All right. So today, like we said, it's all about reigniting your passion. What if that was done in 2 easy steps? People tease me because this is my formula for passion, finding what brings you joy and do more of that. So I'm going to stop share here. It's more on a side-by-side view here. Miss Jacqueline, you're just going to get picked on all the day because nobody else showed up on the Zoom line. They're maybe watching in the Facebook group. So hello to all of our friends in the Facebook group. I don't have the ability to toggle in between times. So please feel free to share there. What are some of the energy essences that you want to bring forth today? And let's talk about passion. You know, what is a passion? What is something that you want to stoke within yourself?
Well, for me, when you had all those words, I was a lot of them, but I had a separate column for what I want to do with those words. And they were bold, courageous, determined, empowered, focused, fulfilled, impactful, organized, persistent, and abundant. Those were my focuses that I need to work.
Yeah, how does that feel just saying those?
Well, it's discipline. That's what and if I see those words and focus on those words, that might help me get there, you know?
Yeah. So it's interesting because I think the word discipline sometimes has negative connotations. So what if we called it a blisscipline?
Well, I don't mind using discipline because that is what I need. I need to be structured in order for me to accomplish more in a day.
Mhm.
I need that structure because I'm kind of OCD, ADHD. I'm kind of all over the place. So that discipline is a good word for me. It creates structure for me so that I accomplish more.
Awesome. So there's like a paradox in there, and by bringing our focus in, it allows us more freedom on the other side. It's almost like going through the eye of the needle in a way. But focus that, bring it together, and then you get to experience more of what you really want to have on the other side.
Clarity.
Yeah. Clarity brings real power, because when we're clear on what it is that we want, the decisions become easy. I think it's all too often that we'll get pushed by the winds of life because we are at the whim. If we're not clear on what it is that we want, then we don't know what that match is. So that's why it's super important to get clear on what it is that we most fully want to bring alive, so that we can, when things pop up, we can respond accordingly. And, I think women, we get caught up in, because we love taking care of other people. We were talking about that yesterday, how easy it is, and it's joyful, right? And at the same time, there's a point that we just need to be clear on where we draw the line, where the boundary is. We need to have some boundaries so that we get more of the me time to nourish our own spirit, so that when we do connect with others, we're more fully alive. But like you, Jacqueline, you brought up such a great point yesterday, that sometimes that is your passion, so the grandkids can be the passion, as long as we draw the line, as long as it's not taking away from your own priorities.
Well, I do make sure that I see my friends, and it's very hard to connect with everybody. So I can kind of carve out a week where I just do nothing but see my friends. I make dates.
Awesome.
And this way, get it done, but I'm not stressing. And we all need somebody to talk to and hang out with. And so that's how I do that.
Yeah. Beautiful. So anyways, let's kind of tee up how we'll roll for today. So we're talking about passion, what I want to do is kind of, we're going to do a little time travel at the end of this. So I'm going to lead us in a visualization right at the end for us to connect. We were talking yesterday about how a lot of what we're seeking is actually, it's within us already. So this passion exists, and it's almost like our pilot light. Our pilot light sometimes gets dim, and we feel like we're not excited about life. We don't have enthusiasm. We feel off track or lost, or we don't know what the next step is. And what I want to highlight from yesterday is that's within, and we're going to tap into that inner sage that knows the way. that inner sage that's barking at the squirrel. He's our animals can be so passionate. Yeah, but honestly, the thing that we seek, the direction that we think we're missing, anything that we think is missing, we're looking out externally for that answer. It's actually an invitation for us to go within, carve out this time like we're doing this week to get intimate, make the space so that we can hear that inner wise woman voice that's whispering to us all the time. If we don't listen, then she'll tap us on the shoulder, and that can look like a distraction, like a fender bender, or a broken toe or something, and if we don't listen to that, it'll get more into the 2x4 kind of a thing. So we make change either by pain or by inspiration. So let's get into communication with our inner voice, our inner wisdom more regularly, so that we don't have to wait for the 2x4s in life to let us know that we're off course. So do you have a book? Like, I think we all have a book that was kind of one of our first awakenings of us on a spiritual journey. For me, it was by Richard Bach, the book Illusions. And so I wanted to read a little metaphor. He's so good at these little allegories, I guess they're called. And this is called Tired of Clinging. Once there was a village of creatures along the bottom of a great crystal river. The current of the river swept silently over them, young and old, rich and poor, good and evil. The current going its own way, knowing only its own crystal self. Each creature in its own manner clung tightly to the twigs and rocks at the bottom of the river, for clinging was their only way of life. It's what they had been taught, and resisting the current was what they had learned from birth. But one creature said at last, "I'm tired of clinging. Though I cannot see it with my eyes, I trust that the current knows where it is going. I shall let go and let it take me where it will. Clinging, I shall die of boredom." The other creatures laughed and said, "Fool, let go, and that current you worship will throw you tumbled and smashed across the rocks, and you shall die quicker than from boredom." But the one heeded them not, and taking a breath did let go, and at once was tumbled and smashed by the current across the rocks. Yet in time, as the current refused to cling again, as the creature refused to cling again, the current lifted him free from the bottom, and he was bruised and hurt no more. And the creatures downstream, to whom he was a stranger, cried, "See, a miracle, a creature like ourselves, yet he flies. See the Messiah come to save us all." And the one carried in the current said, "I'm no more a Messiah than you. The river delights to lift us free, if only we dare to let go. Our true work in this voyage is this adventure." So what I like about that is, in those times in life, when we feel like we're kind of stuck or lost or clinging, a lot of times is that we're denying that there is a bigger river of life that's happening. The universe is ever expanding. Like when the Hubble telescope that they had the pictures of from when was that, like 5 or 6 years ago, what the scientists recognize is that the universe isn't a stagnant, like this isn't just the way it is, it's continually evolving. And so when we recognize that we're part of this natural source of all creative energy, we too, our natural way of being is ever evolving. So when we get stuck or we feel like we're being battered by the river of life, it's chances are because we're clinging on to the old ways of being. It's funny, I was cleaning out a box. I ran across a thing that I had in my wallet, and there's some pictures in here. And the one really funny is my wedding picture. But all these pictures of my family, I'm looking at these, and these people don't exist anymore. Like this, I always laugh and say this is like 3 lifetimes ago, because quite literally, we are regenerating all the time. The cells in our body are replacing themselves. Certain parts of our body take longer than others, but I think the longest is, like liver and lungs, and they might take 6 or 7 years to completely be replenished. New cells are replacing the old ones that are dying off. So they're constantly sloughing. Our body is constantly renewing itself. And so as we think about passion, we want to bathe our new cells in the things that bring us alive. And that's what those words are intended to do. When we think about bold and courageous and organized and fun loving and, whatever those are for you, allow yourself to bathe in them, because the cells are going to become fully alive based on the thoughts we're thinking all the time. So we get to intentionally choose those words. And that's what that passion bit of that is all about. So this person, was a stepping stone in me becoming who I am at this moment in time, but we are ever evolving as human beings. So if we can, when we're feeling stuck, sit down and journal a bit. What is it that I'm unwilling to let go of, that if I would let go of it would bring in new space, new freedom, new expression of being? Michael Beckwith is somebody that I adore. He's a reverend who started the Agape Church out of California, and he talks about 4 different levels of consciousness. And so anyone who's listening here, I know you've already evolved out of the first one, because the base layer is that victim consciousness, where life is happening to me and all these bad things, and he did this to me, and I would be further along if it weren't for something outside of me happened. Right now we can go to, COVID happened to me, or the economy is happening to me. But the next level in that is recognizing that you're a manifester, and that life is happening by me, and that there's the thoughts that we're thinking help to create our reality. And so I can consciously choose the thoughts that create the reality. Well, the next step in that level of consciousness is actually that life is happening through us. And that's the invitation I'm inviting us into for today. What if life is happening through us? What if that inner sage already knows what that next evolution is for you? And again, I'll be doing the visualization here shortly. Just a couple more minutes. I just want to tease up some of the questions that I want you to ask when we journey. Is what is seeking to be expressed through me? How am I holding that back within myself? What barriers have I created within myself to it? And what support, what kind of thoughts are you having? Yesterday, we talked about, the base. Are we expecting that the universe is a safe, supportive space for us? One of my core beliefs is that the universe is conspiring for my good. When you choose to create something, like if you want to get back to a painting experience, I want to start painting again. I'm going to share a picture here in just a second. My sister, Bonnie, began watercolor painting. Never had any experience with this. And man, is she good. Actually, let me just go ahead and pull up this picture that she's working on right now, because I think it's just such a beautiful visualization for what we're doing right now. Oops. There it is. So this is a flower that she's painting. It's not quite done. This is the left side that she's still working on. This is a work in progress, just as we are. But the rosebud to me is a great metaphor for everything that we need, everything we came to be, this soul expression, that unique brilliance that you are here to express in the world, that all exists. That potential is in the bud of that flower. And we are beginning to unfold and evolve and bloom. So, I was at one level of blooming when I was, here standing on the altar getting married, or sitting with my sisters at that point in time. That's one moment in time of our evolution, and we are continuing to evolve unless we try to cling, right? So allow ourselves to bloom in this beautiful way. It just keeps getting, there is no one stage of the rose that is more beautiful than the other. Rose bud, and its pure, tightest little bud, is beautiful in and of itself. As it begins to open, there's fresh light. It's beautiful there. And as it begins to, opens into this beautiful full bloom, it's gorgeous then. So can you give yourself that gift? There's a word in kind of meditation or mindfulness circles, equanimity. I love this word because it says that we allow ourselves to step into the observer perch of our life and recognize that we are not this physical thing. We're not our thoughts. We're not our emotions. Allows us to look and review and see impartially, is this where I want to be? And ask a different question. Those deeper questions of what is seeking to flow through me, what is seeking to be expressed through me, what do I want to experience next? And it's a stage of unfoldment. So
That's
anything?
beautiful. That's really pretty.
Thank you. All right, so go ahead.
I'm working on this.
Ooh, is that the painting or is that the picture?
This is the painting.
Oh my gosh, talk about talent, Jacqueline. That's gorgeous.
I didn't finish the frog, but I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was going through chemo. Yeah. And so I'd go out my back deck every day, and this frog sat in this birdhouse on the railing of my deck. And every day I'd have coffee with him. And I told my friend about it. I said, this is so bizarre, And she said, frogs are a symbol of renewal, of rebirth. So it was like, I get these messages all the time. But so I finally, that was 2010. And I'm finally picking it back up and finishing it, because I'm not allowing myself to paint anything else until I finish that. So I'm working on that. But I finally picked it up and started again. But yes, painting.
There's such beautiful, beautiful themes in what you just said. So one of the things I would like us to invite ourselves into is that concept of receiving. You said, we are receiving, the universe is conspiring for our good. It's giving us clues all the way around. It doesn't speak necessarily English, but it speaks in frogs or numbers or something. So can we open our awareness to the many, many, many ways we are receiving all the time? So there's that part in the brain, that reticular activating system, that if we give it a job, it'll begin looking for patterns, the ways in which things are showing up. If we don't assign it a job, it's going to do its default job, which is looking for the negativity, because our brain is to keep us safe. So it'll look for ways in which everything's, perilous. And there's plenty of evidence to that. You can focus on that, but where your attention goes, your energy will flow. So let's give our reticular activating system the job this week of recognizing the many, 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 many ways in which we are infinitely supported. We're limitless, truly. That's why the name of the Facebook group is Limitless Women Rising. The more we look to and acknowledge the ways in which we're limitless, the more we see that. And then I love the frog. And then coming back to the painting, that's a beautiful thing. Oh, cycles of completion is what I wanted to kind of spotlight on that story about completing the painting. So the secret to your passion, if you're feeling kind of passionless or listless right now in life, go back and look at those patterns that maybe we haven't completed, and there might be a spark of something in there, like coming back to a painting and the joy of finishing this, putting that final little smile on that frog's face or whatever he's got coming to him. But to recognize that when we don't complete cycles of action, it's kind of like leaving, like me on my computer, how many window tabs do I have open with thoughts that I haven't completed, and how much of those each one has a little residue of a little energetic tug, a little cord that's pulling us back. So how many different cords or tabs have we left open that if we would just go back and close that, it would refresh, bring back our energy into the moment now. Another excellent way to do that is, so this is kind of goes in line with the Rumi quote of, we're looking for the barriers that are keeping us from the passion. So we've got too many tabs open, cycles of action that are just left incomplete. And another thing to do, practice to do regularly, is almost like scan, just allow yourself to pull back all the energy from all the different ways in which we've dispersed it over the last week or the last month, all the things that seem to be going, of all the responsibilities that we feel like we need to tend to. Just take a moment in time to pull that back, and then do a scan of your body and release all the people's energy, everyone we feel like we need to take care of, anyone who might be coming in and tapping into our energy. You are an energetic being, and when you're shining, other people might be tapping into that. So just allow that moment to kind of close the tabs on those people too, and allow your body just to be so completely present in this moment. It's a beautiful way to kind of refresh, so that we can clear the space, so that we can hear the inspiration for passion. What is it that brings you joy? What is it that brings you joy and does more of that, and do more of that? That to me is the secret of passion. And it's startling how many people aren't even aware of what those things are. We don't necessarily do it by thinking about them. And that's why I kind of have a little point of contention with like talk therapy, where we're just talking about the things. Sometimes we need to sink into that heart space and energetically feel into those things that feel fun. And a lot of the evidence might be in childhood, like what did you enjoy playing with? And so we'll be talking about the next couple of days. Tomorrow we'll be talking about how to let go and heal, bring back some of those splintered pieces of ourselves from the emotional and mental challenges. So the day is titled Freedom, because there's freedom on the other side of that. When we bring that back into the wholeness of who we are, the fourth day will be all about fun and play and creativity again. And then that last day is bringing it all together. We'll be talking about, I like to call it accelerated manifestation. So when we're in alignment with who we truly came to be, that unique God spark that only you can be. There's not another one of you, couldn't possibly be. But for you to stand in the truth of who you are, that is where things can happen really quickly in your life. And that's what I enjoy helping people do, is when you're stepping into that confidence of who you are, that groundedness, right? That picture, again, we're grounded in the truth of who we are. When other people try to give us advice, oh, you should do this in your business, or date over here, or whatever it is. It's like, no, I'm pretty darn confident that my truth looks like this. That way we're, like you were saying, Jacqueline, the word clarity, when we're clear on who we are, what we want to be, we don't get blown by life's winds. So anyways, I wanted to guide us now into one of my final visualizations. And at the end of this, I'm just going to, just without saying anything else, I'm just going to allow you to sign off. Take a couple moments. We're going to get a big download. This is how we know when inspiration speaks to us. We get entire blocks of information, and it's not a linear creation. So, no, Kiefer's about to bark. What I'm going to do, then I'm going to turn on this picture. So if I need to mute him, let's do this. Share that. All right. So actually, Jacqueline, if you could mute yourself too, that would be helpful.
What do I do?
Just mute yourself, just in case something happens over there. I don't want people to be distracted. All right. So here we go. A little time travel, girl. Are you ready? So breathing in. Taking in all those beautiful word essences that you wanted to infuse into your heart space right now. Feeling bold or clear, present, joyful, guided. Feel that into your heart space, allowing you to know that you are so, so lovingly supported in ways we can't even begin to imagine. That beautiful quote that if you knew how well loved and supported you were, you would never fear again. Breathing into that heart space. Now imagine into this heart space, there's a vision appearing. There's a room, a door opening on the other side of the room. You see an elevator. Imagine walking across to the elevator, pressing the button to go up. The doors open. You see yourself going in. There's one button when you go inside. It just says up. Imagine hitting that up button. Door is closing. The sense of anticipation. Where are we going? You can feel the elevator rise up, 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 feeling lighter, more spacious, eager for what's next. At last, the elevator arrives at the floor. Doors opening wide. There's a whole scene in front of you. A walkway comes out to greet you, standing in front of this beautiful house. It is just stunning. It is so you. It's your ideal home. You feel at home. The walkway is so inviting. You can't help but be drawn walking up its curvy walkway right up to the door. Just see your hand reaching out to press the doorbell. The door flies open. The woman on the other side is eager. She's been waiting for you. This is your future self, 3 years into the future. You stand there so open-hearted, so joyful. She's been waiting, knowing you'd be coming. Opens the door. She gives you a big-hearted hug, inviting you into the home. You're wide-eyed, looking around. This is your future home 3 years from now. This is you, fully realized, fully actualized. She welcomes you in. You look around. It feels both exciting and new, and yet, of course, this is mine. This is what I'm creating. She leads you across the way. Look around the home, all the elements. What colors do you see? What feeling does it bring to your heart? You walk across to a little sunroom. There's a small table and beautiful light streaming in. She's got tea set for the two of you. She pours you a cup and a cup for herself. Take a drink, drinking in, knowing this is all I need to know. Ask the question, how did we get here? What is it that you're doing? What do your days look like? Who are we doing this with? What are my passions? What is bringing me this joy, this groundedness? What more would I need to know? What must I let go of? What ways of being just no longer serve me? What are my first steps in coming here? As I said, all the energy, the information comes as a complete download. It's a complete knowing. It's how you know it's your intuition speaking. It's your future self. She exists. as much in you as this past you may. Feel the love, abundance, the radiance, grounded, energized tranquility that permeates the space. This is true. This is happening. This is alive within you. Ask one last question. What else would I need to know? Allow yourself to receive fully. Knowing this line of communication now open, never closes. It's always available to you. And just like that, it's time to return. So you start heading back towards the door. Just your heart so full of joy, having had this connection, this moment in time. Walking towards the door, you're just about to walk out and she calls your name. You turn back. She's got a small gift she hands you, putting it into your hand. Take a look at it now. It's the perfect gift. Giving yourself that future you, a big hug. Saying, oh, we are one. You'll never leave me. Now, time to go back. Heading out the door, down the front walkway. The elevator doors are open, waiting for you. Enter the elevator, pressing that one button that says down. Going down, down, down. Landing back in this moment in time now. As the doors open, there's a sense of connection, peace, eagerness for what's next. And I invite you to take a few minutes now. I'm going to sign off, but take a few moments just to jot down the things that came up. Namaste, my friend. Thank you for coming, and thank you for bringing your beautiful energy, your beautiful self to this world. I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow and hearing all that is coming to life for you now.